Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is Tony of Comic Conversations, the podcast that reviews more comics than anybody else. You can check out my show on halfguard.com. On today's video, I'm reviewing Batman 22, The Button Part 3, by Joshua Williamson and Tom King, and art by Jason Fabuk. Alright, with that out of the way, let's go straight into the book. Book opens up and we're given a refresher course on the Flashpoint world and Thomas Wayne as Batman. Flash telling Thomas that he was from a parallel timeline where his son was still alive gave him hope for the first time since he lost Bruce in his timeline. Which is why he helped Flash undo his reality, killing him in the process. But something went wrong. Something allowed his nightmare reality to continue. He described this reality as a patient on a table that was too far gone. It was best to let them pass instead of continuing to cut them. In the process, reminding us that Thomas is a doctor by trade. The war, fights, floods, and deaths continued in this world. Disappointed nothing he did would help his son, Thomas sulks. Wonder Woman and Aquaman had temporarily put their differences aside as they set a strike force to kill Thomas. It's then that Batman and Flash make their entrance to Thomas's Batcave, the same cave Bruce fell down in as a child. As a stunned Thomas is shocked to see the two crime fighters, Bruce removes his mask to examine the trophied gun that murdered him in this reality. Thomas tells him he did this all for him. Thomas won't believe his eyes. This must be some cruel joke from Flash. Flash tells him it's no trick. It's been months since the timeline was repaired, but something kept the Flashpoint going. Flash assures Thomas that the Batman there is in fact his son. Flash is shocked to discover this is not an alternate dimension. This is their world. It's as though the Flashpoint never went away. Someone or something is keeping it around. It shouldn't exist anymore. For some reason, Bruce refuses to look Thomas in the eye. That doesn't matter right now because the Atlanteans and the warriors from Themyscira are there to kill Thomas. Thomas grabs his gun and tells the two to get away while they still can. Bruce throws a batarang at the gun. No one is going anywhere, he says. We're doing this together. Bruce asks if there's any defenses in the cave. Thomas tells him his mother was more of the plan ahead type. Now we see where Bruce gets it. Fists it is, and a comic first, Batman father and son go into action. I hope eventually down the road we get a 3 generations of Waynes fighting with Damian alongside his father and grandfather. That'd be really cool. Flash hurries to fix the cosmic treadmill. Bruce was reminded of the cave. He was just a boy when he fell down it. When Thomas was pulling them out, he told Bruce something, but he told it very quietly because he did not want to scare the bats. As Flash finishes the treadmill, the Flashpoint reality begins to fall apart. Time for Barry and Bruce to leave. Bruce thanks his father for the card. It was the greatest gift anyone's ever given him. He said he never got the opportunity to respond, but he wanted Thomas to know that he was a grandfather. Bruce urges his father to go with them. Thomas refuses. Thomas tells Bruce that he was his world. He delivered him himself, and the moment he saw him, he knew every choice he'd make up to this point was the right ones because it brought him Bruce. Thomas tells his son that he was the greatest gift life ever gave him. He implores Bruce to not be Batman, to find happiness. He doesn't have to do this for him or his mother. Be a father for your son. Let the Batman die, he says. Bruce pleads, we can save you. Thomas replies, you already have. Bruce asks Barry to go back, but Barry assures him there's nothing to go back to. Bruce can't figure out why the Button came to his cave and brought him his father. Why bring him back to the Flashpoint to end it? Wally had told Barry that someone stole time for them to hurt them. Maybe they sent them back to the Flashpoint for a reason. It's then they find Reverse Flash and somehow he's got ahead of them. Thawne still has the Button. This must be before he died. The stream must have doubled back to this moment as they tried to stop Thawne. Barry warns him if he keeps running, he'll die. But Reverse Flash knows the power of the Button belongs to, and they've never faced anyone like him before. End of Book 22, Part 3. If you listen to my podcast, you know I've been super high on this event. I know when they announced that Joshua Williamson was going to write this issue of Batman, I was a little concerned. Even though I do like his Flash, and it is a pretty good book, with that said, I feel like, at least in my opinion, I feel like Tom King's Batman is a lot better. But with this issue, I was reassured that I feel I was worried for no reason. Joshua Williamson was more than capable of telling a really good Batman story. I know it's unfair to compare the Flash book to the Batman book, but it's the art by Jason Fabok that reminds me why I do like the Batman portions of this crossover a little bit better than the Flash parts. God bless the artist on Flash, but just Jason Fabok is just on another level. And whenever the Batman portions of this story come out, I'm super pumped for it. So his art really made this feel like a major league production, and a reminder why this is the focal point of the DC universe. My only real criticism so far, and it really feels like a nitpick, but this feels more, at least this part feels more like a rehash of Flashpoint than anything leading towards anything Watchmen. If it's called the Button, so presumably you think it's something having to do with Rorschach eventually, or the Watchmen, at least teasing, at least. And I know we still have a year to go before we get the end of Rebirth, but still, you'd hope we get something. And the fact that we're getting a lot more Flashpoint stuff, it is good. I'm not taking that away from it. If anything, I admittedly said I'm just nitpicking here. But my only real criticism is that, okay, this is great and all that we're getting Flashpoint stuff, and Thomas meeting Bruce for the first time was a really cool story and a really cool moment. But with that said, I feel like we should be getting more of the Watchmen stuff. But maybe that's down the road. But like I said, that's just a nitpicky thing. I absolutely love this book, and I continue to love this Batman and Flash crossover. Huge thumbs up. Alright, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for checking out my video. Don't forget to check out my podcast, Comic Conversations, the podcast that reviews more comics than anybody else at halfguard.com. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and as always, check you guys out next time. Adios.